think we've all been there, bro. There's a girl that we like. We're very hopeful that things could go well with her, and then she ignores us. Like, why do girls always do this?
Well, I think it's subconscious. I think it's like the primal instinct to test a man to see how he's gonna respond.
And unfortunately, what I've had to learn the hard way many times is that if you don't respond correctly when a girl does this, you're because look, 90% of men, when a girl's playing hard to get, what do? They chase her more and more. It makes them want her more and more. Like, it makes sense why girls always do this. And that is why in this video, we're gonna break down some common scenarios where girls do this and give you a game plan of how you need to respond. And make sure you watch to the end because some of these situations you're probably not prepared for. Number one, pre-rejection. So you know when there's a girl you have your eye on, but you're just not sure whether or not you should make the move because you don't know if she's into you or not.
For example, when I'm at the gym, I can see that guys are trying to make eye contact with me because they want me to give them an opening for them to come and talk to me. Obviously, now that I'm married, I'm not making eye contact with them. But when I was single, I wasn't just always making eye contact and being like, yeah, come talk to me. Before, I wanted to just kind of see if they would do it on their own.
And that's the thing. You don't know. Maybe she's married or not interested, but maybe she is. Now, what I used to do in these situations, and this is the wrong thing to do, is I would keep fishing for interest. I'd keep looking for signs that she's definitely into me because then at that point, the chances of rejection would be lower and I'd have more confidence to go talk to her.
And it comes off as extremely creepy because we can tell that you want to come up and talk to us, but you're not. So you're lingering.
The correct method is to treat this like you're a Navy SEAL on a special ops mission. You're going to surgically infiltrate the enemy, get in, and get out. Basically, the first opportunity I have to speak to that girl, I'm going to take it. I'm going to approach her. I'm going to small talk her for 2 or 3 minutes. And I'm going to ask, hey, you seem like a cool girl. Do you want to hang out sometime? And the beauty of this is it prevents us from wasting our time on women who are ultimately not interested in us. Either she says yes and we get a date, which is awesome, or she says no, and no longer do we have to keep wondering, oh, is she interested in me or not? That's some mental torture, if we're being honest.
Also, when you're direct and you come up and ask us out, it's like you're passing a test because that's what we want. And most guys don't do that.
Number 2, she's not on her phone. All right, so you know when you get her contact info, it feels like a big win. You take out your phone, you send that first message, and she doesn't respond, or maybe she responds to the first message, but after that, she's cold. Like, why do girls do this shit? Why would a girl give me your number if she's not interested?
Well, maybe in the moment she felt pressured to give the number, or she was on the fence and she talked herself out of it.
From a masculine perspective, it's hard for our ego to accept this. Like,
no, she fucking gave me the number, so I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this.
Here are a few messages that you should never send. Hey, haven't heard back from you, ... Or maybe the question mark. Or sometimes I see guys trying to get creative and flirty with it, and they'll send something like, hope you didn't get eaten by a shark, with the smiley face.
This just comes off as extremely desperate, and no girl's gonna respond to that.
The correct method here is to do this, to just stop, accept that she's not interested in you, and move on with your life. Or otherwise, you're gonna torture yourself and keep hoping that maybe the next message cracks the code. Or you can try and go Tom Brady on her and throw that Hail Mary pass. So give it 4 or 5 days after she doesn't respond so you don't seem desperate, and then say, hey, my week's been crazy, but would love to meet up and grab drinks. Are you free Wednesday or Thursday night? This can work because it kind of puts the responsibility like, oh, we haven't been talking because of me, not because of you.
But usually she's probably not going to be interested, but the girls that are on the fence, that talk themselves out of it, she's going to find this attractive and she's probably going to text you back.
Now, real quick, if you're struggling to get past these initial dating stages and it just feels almost impossible to maintain an attractive woman's attention over time, I just want to let you know that I can relate. I've been there, it sucks, it's painful, and that's why I created my private beast dating coaching program.
The program completely changed my life. I love this program. I owe so much to it. Girls that I had dated seriously in 2020, one girl, like, it was like either crazy or like I wasn't super physically attracted to them. And then since I joined the program, I stopped settling. Being a man in his early 30s, I ultimately wanted to get in a serious relationship with a high quality women, which I currently am in right now.
Before the program, my dating life wasn't great. I would get maybe 1 date a month, but now it's like 2 or 3 dates a week. Been successful at second and third dates as well.
Over the past few years, we've helped hundreds of men just like this get to the point where they're finally able to date the types of women that they actually want. Not only do the guys in the program get access to a step-by-step blueprint that goes over everything from how to get over approach anxiety, how to set up the first date, how to run the first date so you actually get a second date, but there's also 5 live video coaching calls every single week with myself, Julia, and the other coaches we've brought on board so that we can personally help you get past whatever obstacles and plateaus you face. That being said, if you want to learn more about the program, you can go to beastcoaching.com or click that first link in description. There's a whole bunch more testimonials on there you can watch from different guys' experience in the program, and then you also are able to apply if you want to work with us. Number 3, she's gone cold. So a lot of times we'll actually get a girl's number and she'll be engaged, she'll be responding to us, but then it gets to a point where it feels like she's losing interest and she's taking longer to respond to the messages. And I think these are some of the hardest ones to process mentally, because in our mind we're like, no, she was fucking interested. Not only did she give me your number, but she was talking to me. Like, what happened?
From a girl's perspective, she probably got bored of the conversation, or a new, more exciting option came about.
And the absolute worst thing you can do in these situations, I'm talking from experience here, is that you start to get caught up in this cycle of texting girls for validation and like forgetting that the goal is actually to meet up with this girl and explore a possible relationship. I was in the spot where I was so excited to have a girl's number because I never had that before, that I just wanted to like hear that ding text notification go off and look and be like, oh yeah, like the bitches are texting me. And one of the biggest traps to be aware of, I see a lot of guys in the coaching program fall victim to this, is that they send a text and like find a conversation thread that the girl's really responsive to, and then they just beat that fucking thing until it's dead in the ground. So maybe I send a fun text like, are you a tequila or a vodka girl?
I really like tequila.
Damn, me too. What's your favorite margarita flavor?
I actually love spicy margaritas.
And you like spicy margaritas? I knew we were a good match. Have you tried the new spicy jalapeno margarita at Torchy's yet?
So the first text message was great. Second was okay. But the third, like if you're gonna keep talking about tequila, she's gonna get bored and be like, when is this guy gonna ask me out?
Nah, I'm just the tequila guy. I'm the tequila vodka guy. That's what she's gonna think. The correct method here is to create a rule for yourself. This rule completely changed my dating life, that after 3 or 4 messages, I'm going to move to setting up the dates, no matter fucking what. Because after that point, there's a very high likelihood that it's already passed. The time's passed. It's too late. Number 4, she will not commit. So let's say it's the night before a date and you're sending that confirmation text. Hey, are we still good for tomorrow night at 8 p.m.?
Hey, so sorry. I actually don't feel good. Can we reschedule?
Or maybe she says,
I'm so sorry. I forgot my friend's in town.
how many of these bitches have friends coming in town randomly the night that you have a date? That's probably the top excuse I got.
So I have to admit, I did this to a guy named Kevin. I feel terrible, but last minute, I decided that I was going to make up an excuse that my sister was coming into town, so I didn't have to go on the date with him.
Let's apologize to Kevin.
Sorry, Kevin.
But give us some insight here. Why do girls do this? Not only did they say they want to hang out, they gave the number, they actually agreed to a fucking date.
I think a lot of times girls overthink it and they talk themselves out of it, or they were on the fence and they weren't sure if they wanted to go on a date with this guy, and then another option came up and they were like, oh, I'm just gonna go on the date with that guy and not this one.
Now this is counterintuitive, but the wrong thing to do here is to keep trying and maybe send her a text and say, all good, are you free this weekend instead? Or even, okay, when are you free next? Question mark.
No, Kevin, take the hint.
Because here's the thing, if she's sitting on this fence and part of her is still open to the idea of going on a date with you and you keep texting her, you literally just pushed her off the fence. She's well on the other side now. She's not interested. Correct method here is to always leave it on the girl. That way, if she decides she wants to go on a date with you, she's making that decision herself, and that's much more powerful. So you can send a text like, no worries, let me know when you want to reschedule.
David actually did this to me on the first date, and it worked because I texted him back and set up the date.
And now we're married. Number 5, lack of engagement. This is one you might not realize, but another way girls will ignore you is when you're actually on the dates with them. And rather than being engaged in the conversation, they're doing things like looking at their phone from time to time, maybe making very little eye contact with you, excusing themselves to the bathroom 2 or 3 times.
Unfortunately, girls are used to walking all over guys on a date, so they do this to see how guys are gonna react.
Yeah, it's kind of a fucked up thing because I think for a lot of guys, it already creates this dynamic where like the girl can do anything and it's okay, and the guy has to like chase her for approval, but then the guy can't do anything or it's a problem. And a lot of times that seeds itself already into a relationship that develops after that, where the girl's always right and the guy's always wrong. So the bad thing to do here is just keep asking the girl more and more things about her and hope that eventually she's gonna reciprocate. Because while you're doing this, you're probably starting to get a little bit annoyed and passive aggressive and just really thinking that, oh my God, hopefully this girl will will start to give me attention, which is a bad mindset to be in. The correct method here, and this is going to be hard to execute, I'm not going to lie to you, but it is already to draw a boundary and to call out the girl, because not only is this going to hopefully squash this stupid behavior now, but it's going to lead to a lot better behavior going forward. So for example, you could say, it seems like you're a bit nervous tonight. You're not talking that much. The point is you're calling her out, and girls are not comfortable with confrontation usually, so she has to now admit to herself this weird thing she's doing.
Also, girls aren't used to guys doing this, and it's gonna show that you're a leader, you're not gonna put up with her bullshit, and she's gonna either have to get in line or you're gone.
Yeah, it's almost like you took this negative situation and turned into a really positive thing, unless of course she gets like really aggressive with you and says something like,
I'm not nervous, how dare you, and then leaves.
yeah, obviously if it turns into a confrontation, that's a good time just to politely part ways and end the date. Number 6, dodgeball. This is when she's dodging not your balls, but your kiss. So some girls, right when you're going in for the kiss, they turn into a little bit of Mike Tyson. They bob and weave in, and you're ultimately not able to kiss her. And first of all, you want to understand like the proper technique to escalate to kissing a girl. So this starts right when you meet up with the girl, giving her a nice warm hug that breaks the touch barrier. And this is probably going to lead to more playful touching throughout the night. Maybe she gives you shit or you give her shit. You can give her a playful little like tap. Maybe you can lean into like this a little bit when you're talking to her. Perhaps your legs, you move closer and the thighs make contact, and that kind of stays there for a few moments. Also, it's important to understand the pacing of a date. Usually when both people arrive, you're talking a little more faster, you're both a little bit more nervous, but as time goes on, you should purposefully start to slow down your speech and your movement, because that is a lot more sensual energy that's going to get both of you in a more sexual mindset. So what do you think is the wrong way to do this?
Is to ask a girl, can you kiss her? Now, obviously, if you go in for the kiss and she denies it, don't keep going. But if you're saying like, hey, can I kiss you right now? Like, something about that is just not sexy.
Another bad way to do this is to wait to that moment where you guys are saying goodbye, because now it's like this very cliche thing. There's a lot of pressure on it. Both of you guys are thinking about it, and even if it happens, it's gonna feel awkward. Instead, maybe 5 minutes before the night's about to end, at that point, going for the kiss. It's a little less expected. That's gonna make it more exciting. Or something else I started to do, if I knew the date was gonna end at my place or her place, I would wait until I was in that private spot to make the kiss, because the sexual tension would be through the roof, and a lot of times it would lead to things quickly escalating a lot beyond the kiss versus if we had kissed before, and now it just didn't feel as exciting once we got to that location. But if she does dodge the kiss after you've properly set things up, I just move on. And what I want you guys to understand on a deeper level here is that a woman's ultimate weapon in the dating game is playing hard to get, which means ignoring guys that are interested in her. Because like we explored, usually it works and it leads them to simping. And the only way to counter that is to use a man's ultimate weapon in the dating game, which is walking away, removing himself from the situation, and letting the girl know, hey, I don't tolerate this type of behavior. Because no matter what you say or do in these environments, ultimately, you're still giving more attention to someone who just executed some bad behavior. And by removing yourself from that situation, that's the only way that the girl's gonna sit there and realize, oh, fuck, I might have lost this guy by doing that. And if you're struggling to develop this strong masculine mindset, I'd recommend you watch this video next. It's about 4 things that masculine men do differently. If you start doing these things regularly, it is gonna program yourself to behave and act and move like that type of guy. So click there to watch that now. And if you're new to the channel, you can click down here to subscribe, as I release 2 new videos every single week and you don't wanna miss them. I'll talk to you in the next video. Stay
beastly.